Is it possible that somebody that teaches you how to build an online business would be sitting here saying, here are the reasons why you shouldn't be an entrepreneur? It absolutely is. There's one specific thing you need to know, and if you don't know it, well, you're not going to know if you're on the right path. I'm going to talk about it right now here on this episode of the Unlock Success Podcast.
This is the Unlock Success Podcast. We're helping entrepreneurs around the world dive deep into the keys you need to shatter excuses, believe in yourself, and help you achieve your highest goals. Here's your host, 8-figure entrepreneur and the living legend of internet marketing, Anthony Morrison.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Anthony Morrison here, and welcome to another episode of the Unlock Success Podcast. Now, in this episode, my goal is to provide you with the mindset strategies that help you think through your business, break through your plateaus, and give you real, actionable insights that you can apply right now today. Okay, and I say that because today's topic may seem a little off the wall at first. So if this is your first time here today, do me a favor and stick with me until the end. I think you'll see where I'm going with this. But today I want to tell you why you should not be an entrepreneur, or rather, who shouldn't be an entrepreneur. I actually want to convince a number of you watching, listening, not to start a business. And I think you'll see why by the end of this video. Listen, I'm telling you right now, some of you that have seen my story, okay, know that I actually spent quite a few years in pre-medical school, right, pre-med, and I was on my way to becoming a doctor. My dad was supportive of pretty much anything and everything that I wanted to do, but I'd be lying to you if I said he didn't push me in that direction, right? He always wanted me to be a doctor. And there was nothing wrong with that because I truly believed that I wanted to be a doctor. I love the idea of having an important job, saving lives. And back then, there wasn't really much internet. So, it was the thing. Like if you wanted to be rich, you needed to be a doctor, right? And I wanted to be rich. So, the idea of being a doctor made a lot of sense to me. I love the idea of working late nights because my dad always did. And of course, as I got older, I started thinking, man, it'd be really great to collaborate with brilliant people. And, look, I used to see myself wearing the lab coat, diagnosing problems, finding solutions. And of course, look, like I said, I love the idea of getting paid really, really well. There was only one problem. I actually hated everything else that came with being a doctor. I didn't enjoy the prep. I did not enjoy the classes. I love the idea of being a doctor, but I didn't really want to do what it took to be one, right? And I'll be honest, coming to that realization was not easy. I would tell myself, of course I want to be a doctor. That's why I'm in medical school. But what I really had to come to grips with was not wanting to go through the process of becoming a doctor actually meant that I probably didn't want to be one. Now, on the other hand, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't even know it. Seriously, I had no clue. I had 2 successful online businesses, one in e-commerce and one in affiliate marketing before I ever even called myself an entrepreneur. Now, why is that? Because I didn't just love the idea of being an entrepreneur. I loved the process. I loved the work. I loved doing what it took to get me to that place. I didn't just like the dream of working from my computer and sending emails by the beach. I actually liked the process of sending the emails. And unlike medical school, the end result wasn't as exciting to me as the process. And I see so many entrepreneurs or so-called entrepreneurs fall into this trap. Man, they love the idea of being an entrepreneur, but what they don't enjoy is the work. They don't enjoy writing the emails or learning paid traffic or building funnels or getting their face on a live webinar or spending that extra time on the weekends working instead of hanging out with their family or giving up time watching television to do, studies and script writing and all of these types of things that come along with being an entrepreneur. This is the kind of stuff that rarely gets talked about in the ads or during interviews. But it's the love of the game that tells you if this is the game you need to be playing, right? Now, loving the game, you might be familiar with that quote by now, right? I've noticed a lot of people mentioning it because that's what Michael Jordan believed was the key to his success, loving the actual game itself, even more than loving being a champion. So look, it may seem counterintuitive for a guy who teaches people how to start an online business to tell them why they shouldn't start an online business. But at the end of the day, look, I truly want you to be happy. And trust me, if entrepreneurship isn't for you, I can promise you it's going to be rough no matter what gurus make it seem like on your newsfeed. but this should encourage some of you as well. Some of you I know love the game. Some of you I see every week during my live webinars, getting your hands dirty, asking questions, figuring stuff out. And if that's you, I want you to be encouraged that your love for the game is going to get you right where you want to be. That's the right place for you. That's exactly where you need to be. And you know, sometimes it takes experiences in our lives. Sometimes it's massive occurrences that make these huge pivots in our life, and it puts us like on a completely different path than we really saw fit. Like for me, I didn't know I wanted to be an entrepreneur, like I said. And I certainly never considered myself one. And I never would have taken that step. I never would have taken that first step towards entrepreneurship if it wasn't for a disaster happening in my family. My dad lost his life savings in the stock market, and I all of a sudden found myself thinking like, what do I do? I'm not a doctor yet, so I can't make any money to help him. What do I do? So I started a business, right? You heard me say I started an e-commerce business. I started an affiliate marketing business. And I started those businesses, and honestly, the whole time I was doing it, I was loving what I was doing. You know, I've often told that story, and people have asked me, and they're like, you know, how did you do this? Like, how did you watch your family lose $1 million in the stock market, almost go bankrupt? Your dad's stressed out, not knowing if he's going to be able to pay his house payment, right? Keep his family in his house, not knowing if he's going to be able to keep you in college. And you just start up these businesses in the midst of going to school and have no problem with it. Like, just no problem. Like, it's just nothing. And I think that now that I reflect back on this, I remember now, I think that my biology test and my organic chemistry test were far more stressful to me than starting that business. Even though the end result of starting that business was saving my family, the end result of that test, whether I got an A or a B, was just a passing grade in a class, right? In a class that I didn't even love. So I think what happens is I enjoyed the process of building the business so much that it didn't feel like work, right? It didn't feel like I was doing something I shouldn't be doing or didn't enjoy doing. And so for that reason, I wasn't stressed. I wasn't fearful. I wasn't worried. I was excited. I was, invigorated. I was happy each and every day to be able to get in and start building and working on this business. And so if you find yourself loving the idea of something, but not enjoying the process of what it takes to get there, well, then you shouldn't be doing it. And this doesn't just apply to entrepreneurship. This applies to anything and everything, right? If you find yourself loving the idea of being married and you start dating someone and you stay with them for the wrong reasons. Have you ever done this before? There's all these red flags going up, right? Things you don't like, but you are so focused on the idea of getting married, right? And having this little white picket fence and the American dream that you stay with somebody even though you don't love the process, right? Because you're so in love with what the end result could be. Think about that. How many times have you done that in your life? I know I'm guilty of doing that, right? I mean, I know I've done it a few times, right? And so it's important to learn from that. It's important to have the awareness and the ability to think through and see that the process that you're going through, if you're not loving it, then you'll never make it to that end result that you truly want, right? And I think that's so important for people who are looking to be entrepreneurs because, listen, I know that people make it seem easy. Click this button, make $1 million. It doesn't happen. It never has happened. It never will happen. I know people make it sound like, hey, you can be stupid, dumb, no college degree, no degree at all. You don't even have to have a computer and you can make millions of dollars and all. It's just not true, right? To be successful requires work, right? It's hard work. And you have to love every minute of that hard work. My dad told me one time, he said, son, why do you work so much? Like you've made enough money. You've got all the things that you want. Like if you make another $1 million in today, what's really going to change in your life? Like nothing. So why are you doing it? And I oftentimes had to remind him, like he asked me this many times and I'd have to tell him, Dad, I love what I'm doing. Like I'm not doing it for the money. I'm not doing it because I have to do it. I'm doing it because I love the process of doing it. I love the process of building and shaping and creating, and then watching other people consume what I've put out there and use it in their lives. Like, I love that. And if the byproduct of that is I'm an entrepreneur, and the byproduct of that is I make money, well, that's great. But I love what I'm doing. I love the process of getting there. And it doesn't feel like work. My wife says this to me all the time. Why do you work so much? And I honestly sometimes just question if people listen to me, because I'm like, I don't feel like I'm working. But even though they see me working, I see me just enjoying my time, doing with it what I love to do. So if you're not loving every step of the process to being an entrepreneur, maybe an entrepreneurship just isn't for you. But on the flip side, if you're loving getting in there and learning how to build funnels and doing all the things that it takes to be an entrepreneur, then I truly believe you're on the right path. Like, you're going down the path that you should be going down. And ultimately, that's what we really want in life, right? Is to go down the right path to get the results that we're looking for so that we can be happy, happy and free. That's what it's really all about. So I hope this message has helped you. If you find yourself one of those people that's not enjoying the process, then give yourself permission to find something else that you really do that you do love and that you do enjoy. Life is short. You should spend your time doing the things that you love doing, right? So hopefully this message reaches you and it helps you to decide which path you should be on, right? Ultimately, that decision is up to you, but I think by being aware of a few key things, you can make sure that you're on the right path and the path that's going to ultimately lead you to the most success and happiness. My name is Anthony Morrison. Again, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Unlock Success Podcast, and I look forward to seeing you next week.